She couldn't see his badge, but she felt his malice. A blind African-American woman, her treasured cane, a public act of cruelty. No one stopped. Yet, the officer didn't know her son was a federal prosecutor. What began as humiliation was set to spark a reckoning that would shake the town. Dear viewer, this isn't just a story. It's a powerful testament to quiet strength and the pursuit of justice in forgotten places. If you're new here, share your location in the comments. If these stories move you, provoke thought, or touch your soul, consider subscribing and hitting the bell icon. We share unheard voices daily. Thank you for being here. Now, let's dive in.
Mornings in Lincoln Park, Virginia, carry a sacred calm. Before the city stirs, before horns sound or screens flicker, the world hums softly. Breezes slip through oak branches. The air, crisp and pure, holds traces of honeysuckle and memory. Early risers might see her. Eleanor Thompson, 76, blind since 48, moved with grace few could match. Wrapped in a faded lavender shawl, cane in hand, she flowed like a stream, steady, unhurried, purposeful. Her steps followed a path worn by years, from her modest brick home, past the cinnamon-wafting bakery, over the footbridge splitting Lincoln Park. To locals, she was Miss Thompson. Some knew her for humming hymns on benches, telling stories with her hands. Few truly understood her. The trials she'd faced, the resilience that kept her standing. Fewer knew the strength coiled in her spirit, or the title she never flaunted. Mother of Major Adrienne Thompson, U.S. Army. Eleanor didn't wear pride in Lincoln Park. It lived in her posture, her silence, her daily choice to rise and walk, despite calls to stay down. That morning was no different. The sun barely rose as Eleanor buttoned her coat, each loop slow, deliberate. Her fingers found her cane's smooth handle, once her late husband Williams, a Vietnam veteran who left her more than memories. He gave her courage. With it, she stepped into the dawn's soft glow. Her park route was second nature. Sightless, she navigated sidewalks effortlessly. Trees whispered directions. Breezes signaled corners. Her cane's taps sang of independence, rhythm, resilience. Eleanor didn't walk for exercise. Her steps sought connection, control in a world eager to take it. Unknown to her, or anyone, this morning held a cruel twist. A uniformed man, badge shining, heart darkened, was about to target her dignity. His actions would ignite a chain reaction, rattling this quiet southern town to its core. It happened in plain sight. No shadows to hide in, no excuses to fall back on, just raw truth across Lincoln Park's paths. Eleanor Thompson was halfway through her walk when she heard boots crunch gravel. Not joggers' shuffles or dog walkers' chatter. This sound shifted the air, deliberate, heavy, asserting presence. She paused, head slightly tilted. Her cane tapped once, then stilled. "Ma'am," a voice came, sharp, cold. Not a greeting, but a warning veiled in civility. Eleanor turned toward it. She sensed piercing eyes, scanning, not seeing her. "I'm fine, thank you," she said, calm as a hymn. "Just walking." "Out here alone?" he pressed. It wasn't a question, but an accusation masked as concern. "I know this park like my own hand," she replied, courteous, dignity her armor. "Walked it daily for 20 years. A low, scornful laugh escaped him, not humorous, but dismissive. That might be the problem. She stayed quiet. She knew this game. Slow erosion, disrespect whispered before it roared. "Be more careful," he said, stepping closer. "The world's not as kind anymore." Her chin lifted slightly. "No, it isn't." Silence hung, taut like pre-storm air. Then, "Let me see that." Before she could react, his hand gripped her cane. It was quick, Shocking. Almost unreal. But the tug came, firm, unyielding. Her fingers clung, then faltered. The cane slipped. "What are you doing?" she asked, panic threading her voice. Her balance wavered. She reached out, seeking stability in her unseen world. Then came the sound, etched in her mind for weeks. Crack. A sharp, brutal snap. Her cane, William's cane, her longest companion, broke in two, like a twig under a boot. The silence roared. Stunned, Eleanor stood, breath caught between chest and throat. The cane's halves hit the ground with a soft, final clatter. Officer Stephen Klein, badge 214, as she'd later learn, tossed the pieces at her feet like trash. "Next time, ma'am, don't get smart," he sneered, voice thick with contempt. "Some aren't as patient as me." Then he walked away. Eleanor stood frozen. In Lincoln Park's heart, under a sky too bright for such cruelty, her shoulders squared, hands trembling. She reached down, fingers brushing splintered wood. One piece, warm from her grip, the other in the grass, raw as a wound. People were near. She heard their whispers. Silence, unease, complicity. No one spoke. Slowly, painfully, she knelt, gathering the fragments. Her heart raced, not from fear, but violation, humiliation. Yet she stood. Eleanor Thompson stood, trembling but upright. She didn't scream, cry, or curse. She walked, step by shaky step, palms out, guided by memory, faith, will. Past the oak bench, the bakery, the spot where help never came, all the way home. At home, she wrapped the cane's halves in a linen napkin, placing them on the kitchen table like a broken heirloom. She sat, waiting for her trembling to ease, breath to steady, the incident's weight to settle like dust in her home's corners. She didn't call anyone at first. She didn't need to. James Monroe, the 19-year-old coffee cart vendor by the bridge, saw it all. His hands shook on the cups. He didn't intervene. Young, scared, navigating life as a black man in a white world. But he acted. Quietly, shakily, he recorded it on his phone. Not aiming for history, he knew it felt wrong. He hit record before Klein spoke. That day, James walked half a mile to Eleanor's house and knocked. She said nothing as he offered his phone. He played the video. She listened to every word, moment, the cane's splintering snap. When it ended, she closed her eyes. "I'm so sorry," James whispered. She nodded once. "Not your fault." After a pause, she added softly, "But it's someone's." Neither knew, nor could Klein imagine, that this brazen act under Virginia's sky had sparked something powerful. Not rage, not revenge, a reckoning. Because Eleanor Thompson had a son. 3 days later, Lincoln Park hadn't calmed. Whispers replaced talk. Some gave Eleanor pitying glances, others avoided her eyes. Silence took many forms. Eleanor stayed indoors, her broken cane on the mantel, part memorial, part warning. Her son, Michael Thompson, hadn't returned from D.C., but she knew he would if she told him. She hadn't yet lit that spark. Then came a knock, firm, purposeful. Eleanor paused, hand on the wall, steadying chamomile tea. She expected no one. Another knock, louder. She neared the door, breath tight. "Who's there?" she called. A woman answered. "Mrs. Thompson, I'm Detective Karen Elliott, Virginia Bureau of Investigation. May I speak with you?" Eleanor hesitated. She hadn't called the VBI. Had James? She cracked the door, seeing a tall, mid-40s woman, plainly dressed, purposeful, badge on a leather cord. "What's this about?" Eleanor asked. "A complaint against Officer Stephen Klein," the detective said. "He's under investigation for excessive force, but that's not why I'm here." Eleanor opened the door wider. "Then why?" The detective stepped closer, voice low. "You're not the first, Mrs. Thompson. 3 complaints against him this year, Different victims, none stuck. No footage, no witnesses. But now, she nodded toward the house. We have you, and I hear there's a video. Eleanor's breath caught. James, Elliot continued. I'll be honest, testifying won't be easy. Klein's protected, with powerful allies and enemies in the wrong places. But if you're willing, we can expose this. Not just your case, but years of it. Eleanor stood, stunned, not by disbelief, but by knowing her pain fit a broader pattern, a storm across generations. Her grip tightened on the doorknob. Her tea had cooled. She nodded. I'll do it, she said. Elliot didn't smile, just nodded, acknowledging the moment's weight. Eleanor knew then, it was never just about her. Richmond's sun dimmed after Michael Thompson saw the video. He'd finished a long shift at the Department of Justice in D.C. when his phone buzzed with a message from James Lowe, a stranger. You don't know me, but I know your mom. Watch this. The video was attached. Thinking it might be a scam, Michael played it. His blood froze. The shaky footage, from behind a coffee cart, showed his mother, blind, proud, defenseless, and Klein looming. The Kane's snap echoed louder than war-zone screams he'd heard overseas. Worse was the silence after, the onlookers' indifference. He didn't finish. He booked the next flight to Richmond. Lincoln Park buzzed with uneasy calm. People moved on, but the square felt changed, a stage where something sacred broke. At 6:42 a.m., as joggers passed the elm bench, Michael stepped from a taxi at his mother's house. He didn't knock, using his key. Ma, he called softly, screen door creaking. She sat by the window, as always, the broken cane beside her like a ghost. I knew you'd come, Eleanor said quietly, not turning. Her voice was steady, but her hands gripped the chair tightly. Michael took her hand. Why didn't you call? I didn't want this on your plate. You're doing big things up there. You have a life. You are my life, he said, kneeling beside her. You're why I do this. Eleanor smiled, tinged with sorrow. Then maybe it's time to do it here. He paused, then said, They don't know you. They don't care who I am, she replied. But they will, he vowed, standing. That day, Eleanor and Michael met Detective Elliot in a quiet coffee shop booth outside town. James joined, twisting his cap nervously. We have enough to charge him, Elliot said, sliding a folder across. But this town's politics might bury it. Your name matters, Michael. He opened the folder. How? You're not just anyone. You're Assistant U.S. Attorney Michael Thompson. Born here, built on service, truth, accountability. When people learn who Klein targeted, the pressure shifts. I don't want this about me, Michael said. It's not, Elliot replied. It's about what your name stands for. In towns like this, names carry history, power, legacy. Sometimes they break silence. Eleanor sipped her tea quietly. Your father would be proud, she said, eyes misty. Michael touched her hand. He gave me the name. You gave it meaning. That evening, Michael held a press conference at the community center near the square. He told only a few, local leaders, the pastor, Eleanor's church friends. But justice-hungry towns spread word fast. The room filled. Michael stepped to the podium. No notes. I'm Michael Thompson, he began. If you don't know me, that's fine. But you know my mother, Eleanor Thompson. For 30 years, she's been this community, teaching Sunday school, volunteering at the pantry, walking Lincoln Park daily. Sightless. Last week, those meant to protect her humiliated her. He paused, silence pressing in. This isn't just a broken cane, he continued. It's about the justice we allow, how we treat the ignored. A badge turned weapon. Silence turned complicity. Murmurs rose, nods, An amen whispered. I've prosecuted nationwide, Michael said, voice rising. But this is home. No uniform can strip my mother's dignity. That officer didn't just touch her. He touched every woman told to stay quiet, every elder dismissed, every black person labeled a threat for existing. He raised the broken cane, its jagged edges glowing under lights. This isn't just broken. It's evidence, a symbol. Tomorrow we'll make it louder than the silence that broke it. The crowd surged, not with anger, but resolve. Later, under the southern sky, Michael stood with Eleanor. She touched his arm, whispering, "You did well, baby." The right way. Michael eyed her new cane, sturdy, strong. He kept the broken one in his briefcase, his heart, for names carry weight. Stories carry legacy, and theirs was beginning. By Monday, Richmond's air crackled, electric with change. A town of whispers and shrugs now pulsed with accountability. Post-press conference, headlines spread. Federal prosecutor confronts officer in abuse case. Blind woman's son demands justice with proof. It wasn't just the story, it was Michael Thompson's name. Behind it, a mother, a cane, a town too long averted. The Fairfax County Civilian Oversight Board stirred unprecedentedly. Long symbolic, it now had to act, not from courage, but the spotlight's glare. Press called, lawyers circled. Social media tagged officials every 5 minutes. People watched. Eleanor gave the cause, Michael the urgency. At the hearing, Officer Klein sat stiff in a gray suit, jaw steely. His lawyer whispered tactics, but Klein's eyes locked on the board. He hadn't expected this. He'd seen complaints vanish, statements rewritten, cameras fail. But this was different. He'd targeted a woman whose son knew the system's playbook. Now, it was being rewritten. Michael faced Klein, the broken cane in an evidence bag before him. Simple suit, no pins, no federal ID, just calm resolve. He wasn't here to perform. He was here to mirror the system. "State your relationship to Ms. Eleanor Thompson," the chair asked. Michael nodded. Her son, also a former assistant U.S. attorney who's handled federal use of force cases. I know misconduct and systemic cover-ups. The room shifted. Board members leaned in. Reporters typed furiously. Michael pressed on. This isn't about embarrassment or one bad day. It's about power. Used to humiliate, not protect. In daylight, before witnesses, fearless of consequences. He replayed the video. The snap echoed off walls. Someone gasped. The chair faced Klein. "Officer Klein, the video shows you taking and breaking Miss Thompson's cane. Do you deny it?" Klein's lawyer interjected. "We dispute the context. My client was checking for safety. The object wasn't identified as a mobility device." Michael's voice, firm, calm, cut through. "Are you saying a trained officer can't recognize a blind woman's white cane?" The lawyer bristled. Michael continued, "Let's not insult this board or public. The video, sound, context are clear. What's unclear is why he still wears a badge." Outside, people gathered. Church mothers who knew Eleanor, Virginia State students with signs reading, "Cane weapon," fathers with strollers, retirees in chairs. More stories emerged. An elderly Hispanic man said, "A year ago, that officer accused me of loitering outside my apartment." A black teen shared being stopped post-school, forced to empty his backpack to prove he wasn't stealing. None had complained before. Why bother? But Eleanor's story lit a fire, now spreading. Inside, the tide turned. The board's questions sharpened. A former judge leaned toward Klein. "You were the only officer there. Witnesses confirm unprovoked approach. Do you know harassment's legal definition, Officer Klein?" Klein shifted, mouth opening, no words. Michael didn't smile or nod. He met Klein's eyes. "You acted in public. Answer in public. After 2 hours, the board recessed. The chair spoke rarely. "We take this seriously. We recommend Klein's immediate suspension and forward the case to the DA for criminal review." Murmurs erupted. Some gasped, others cried. Outside, news spread. "He's off for now." That night, Michael sat on his mother's porch, cicadas humming. "You stood tall, son," Eleanor said, voice stronger. "You gave me reason," he replied. She tapped his hand. "I never thought I'd see his kind held accountable here." Michael gazed at the dim square. "We're not done, Ma, but they blinked. That's how walls crack." She nodded, proud, silent. Today wasn't about names, titles, or press. It was a stand. The system blinked. Morning sun bathed Lincoln Park, shadows dancing on benches and cobblestone. Honeysuckle and memory scented the breeze. The quiet wasn't heavy, but post-storm calm. Eleanor stepped onto her sidewalk, new cane in hand. Polished oak, initials carved. Not just a tool, a statement. She was walking, returning to where it began. News spread beyond Richmond. Outlets ran. Cops' assault on blind woman sparks rights review. Ex-prosecutor's son holds officer accountable. But for Eleanor, change wasn't on TV. It was in greetings. At the bakery, scones waited with a note. "Thank you for your courage." A boy called, "Miss Eleanor, you're famous." The silence, post-humiliation, became voices saying, "We see you. We believe you. We're with you." At Lincoln Park's edge, a group gathered, not to protest or rage, but to witness. Michael stood by a new bench under the oak, a bronze plaque affixed. For Eleanor Thompson, every step in strength, every voice for justice. Escorted by her son, Eleanor arrived. The crowd hushed. She said little, fingers tracing the plaque, touch reading what eyes couldn't. She sat, centered, proud, unshaken. Michael spoke clearly. "My mother taught me to fight with dignity, not fists. Silence can be survival, but sometimes you must break it." To the crowd, "Cruelty started this, but you, speaking, stepping up, kept it from fading." He faced his mother, chin high in sunlight. "This bench isn't just hers. It's a symbol. Strength doesn't roar. It walks slowly, gracefully, purposefully, leaving a legacy." That afternoon, Eleanor sat, hands folded, Michael beside her. The town moved. Kids in fountains, joggers in the square, elders chatting. A new energy bloomed, hope, respect, change. Eleanor turned to Michael. "Your father would be proud," she said softly. He smiled. He said you were the strongest he knew. "I kept walking," she said, "when the world wanted me to stop. Now they walk with you," he replied. She nodded. "That's the legacy. What we inspire, not just survive." In a town once blind to injustice, one blind black woman's walk through Lincoln Park sparked an unforeseen reckoning. Eleanor Thompson never aimed to be a symbol. She sought what all deserve: freedom to move, peace to exist, dignity respected. When an officer broke her cane publicly and silence surrounded her, her pain could have faded into forgotten injustice. It didn't, because Michael refused to let it. One humiliating act grew into something greater. A community roused, a system challenged, a mother's quiet strength shining brightest. Michael, knowing institutional silence's depth, chose truth over ease, an act of love and defiance. Others found courage, a vendor recording, a mother speaking despite fear. They reclaimed voices, restoring Eleanor's. Her story shows strength isn't always grand. It's in steady footsteps, quiet resolve, raising a child who knows when to say enough. Justice starts not in courts, but with people refusing invisibility, standing by the silenced, challenging norms, choosing courage in quiet rooms. We all can disrupt injustice, not with noise, but conviction. If this story stirred, inspired, or shifted your view, even briefly, like subscribe, share this video. Your support fuels vital stories, gives voice to the overlooked, strength to those rising. Together, let's walk toward a future where dignity isn't conditional and justice isn't a lone fight.